afternoon, everyone. My name is Josh Gray, and I'm going to be talking about the impact of fitness content on youth. But before I do, we're going to play a quick game called Natty or Not. It's not clicking. Okay, so this is a famous trend online where I show you some fitness influencers, and you guess if you think they're natural, meaning they don't take performance-enhancing drugs like steroids, or not natural. So we'll start with number one. Natty or not? Raise your hand if you think he's natural. Okay. And who says not natty? Interesting. Number two, natty or not? Who says natty? Not natty. Number three. Raise your hand for natty. Okay, and who says not natty? All right, one more. Natty and not natty. Okay, interesting. The reason this matters is because it isn't just a fun internet game. Whether or not these people are natural has been hotly debated online for a long time. And as you just saw here, it's hard to tell. For teenagers, constantly seeing physiques that they believe are natural without knowing the truth can completely reshape how they view fitness, health, and even themselves. Since the rise of social media, teenagers' view of health and fitness has been completely reshaped. Fitness influencers and gym content have flooded platforms with extreme physiques and body transformation content, making physical appearance more important than ever. People like David Lade, Alex Eubank, Jeff Seid, and Hussein Farhat have become household names throughout the fitness industry for their body transformations. The problem is that the way fitness content has been presented online often shifts the focus away from health towards appearance and comparison. Because of social media, fitness content has harmed teenagers by encouraging unrealistic expectations, body obsession, and dangerous behaviors that can harm their physical and psychological health permanently. As a result, many young people are developing a distorted view of what it means to be fit. Without a shift towards honesty, transparency, and health-focused messaging, fitness content will continue to harm the very audience it claims to inspire. To start, social media has changed the way people compare themselves. In the past, people might compare themselves to local gym goers, or maybe a fitness magazine. But now, thanks to social media, people are constantly comparing themselves to all of the best looking people in the world. This constant exposure can make people feel inadequate, even if they're making normal progress in the gym. This shift is important because social media is now nearly universal among all teenagers. In fact, the National Institutes of Health reported that, as of last year, 95% of all teenagers use social media on a regular basis. And in another study, nearly half of the teenagers surveyed reporting spending over an hour a day on fitness-related content. The comparison that comes with social media has been linked to an increase in body dysmorphia as well. Body dysmorphia is a mental disorder of obsessing and stressing over apparent imperfections in appearance. For some teenagers, this can turn into like avoiding mirrors or obsessively checking their appearance, or feeling like they're never good enough no matter how much they improve. Studies have shown this disorder can lead to other serious consequences like severe anxiety, depression, and disordered eating, just to name a few. Basically, constant exposure to fitness content can lead to a distorted self-image. Fitness content does not affect teenagers in the same way either, though. Typically, males are exposed to content that promotes low body fat, muscularity with strong physical presence, like Chris Hemsworth. Meanwhile, girls are more frequently targeted with thinness and weight loss content, with a focus on appearance-based validation. For example, Summer Rae. So, although the standards differ, the pressure is harmful for everyone. Social media algorithms make this issue even worse. Platforms like Instagram, TikTok, YouTube are personalized to feed users more of what they interact with. So, if someone likes one fitness video, they're quickly shown more and more, until eventually, the algorithm creates an echo chamber where everything they see is fitness content, fitness content, fitness content, and it makes unrealistic standards start to feel normal. As a result, this leads to many disordered habits. Teenagers may begin to tie their self-worth to appearance, and this can lead to unhealthy behaviors like extreme dieting, binge eating, and obsessive exercising. Instead of focusing on health, they focus on looking a certain way, which can have long-term physical and mental consequences. Worsening the issue, fitness content often emphasizes quick and easy results, with video titles like How to Get Shredded Fast or How to Bulk Up Fast. The emphasis on rapid body transformation reflects what research calls appearance-based motivation. Appearance-based motivation has also been linked to an increase in body dysmorphia, body dissatisfaction, and disordered eating in teenagers. While much of the online gym space is fixated on immediate body satisfaction, the long-term consequences cannot be ignored forever. The teenage years are vital for development, and when adolescents find their self-worth and physical appearance, they can create fragile foundations for themselves later in life. One of the most serious risks involved in the fitness industry is the use of performance-enhancing drugs, or PEDs. These include anabolic steroids, peptides, selective androgen receptor modulators, or SARMs, human growth hormone, and more. They can build muscle quickly, but they come with dangerous side effects. Medical studies have consistently linked abuse to these drugs to heart and liver damage, hormone imbalances, mental health problems, and infertility, just to name a few. And in many cases, they can lead to a significantly shortened lifespan. In fact, recent studies have shown that the average lifespan for a competitive bodybuilder is only 47 years. One notable example of this is Mike Mincer, bodybuilding legend with numerous bodybuilding titles, including Mr. America, Mr. Universe, and a controversial fourth place at the Mr. Olympia in 1980 against Arnold. He died in 2001 at the age of 49 from cardiovascular disease and other heart complications. Another famous fitness figure was Rich Piana. He started taking steroids at 18 and is known for preaching to do whatever it takes. He passed away in 2017 at the age of 46 after collapsing from heart disease with a heart and liver that weighed over twice the average size. And in 2023, Joe Linder, the beloved fitness influencer and bodybuilder with over 9 million followers on Instagram, passed away from an aneurysm at only 30 years old. These aren't just a select few stories. These people show the real consequences of what can happen when people abuse PEDs. The side effects aren't theoretical, they're real, and they're even backed up in studies. Abuse often ends in permanent damage or early death. While some may manifest sooner than others, the consequences of abusing PEDs cannot be avoided. Had these people chosen to prioritize health over appearance and not abuse steroids and other PEDs, it's possible that they could all three still be with us today. So, although the side effects of PEDs should far outweigh the benefits, there are clearly still others who disagree. One major reason fitness content has such a negative impact on the youth today is fitness influencers. Influencers have the power to do exactly what their name implies. They influence, and they influence millions of people to be like them. But of course, with great power comes great responsibility. And unfortunately, many influencers use their platforms for personal gain rather than the betterment of their audience, which is dangerous. For example, take the Liver King. He built his brand on claiming his physique was naturally attained without the use of PEDs, and for years, he credited his ancestral lifestyle to his size by eating raw meat and bull testicles. But it was later revealed through leaked emails that he was spending over $10,000 a month on steroids and other PEDs, exposing that he had gained millions of followers based on a lie. This matters because teenagers believed his physique was naturally attainable, which created unrealistic expectations and made physiques like his feel normal without understanding the truth behind them. Fitness influencers have so much influence that they even influence other influencers to make life-altering decisions, like taking PEDs. One influencer who shifted from being a natural lifter to taking PEDs is Alex Eubank. He was famous for promoting natural fitness and looked down on steroids since the beginning of his career, and he built his brand on aesthetics and discipline. But he started collaborating with another fitness influencer who openly promoted steroids and risky behaviors like gambling and other drugs. And within a few months, the 24-year-old influencer began gambling and taking testosterone, which, in case you don't know, testosterone is an anabolic steroid. But he justified it by saying it was only testosterone replacement therapy at 24 years old. So this shows how easily influenced people can be when they hang around the wrong type of people, and clearly influencers are no exception. This also shows how powerful social influence is in fitness culture, because even fitness influencers who built their identity around natural lifting can end up using PEDs, which can send confusing and misleading messages to teenagers. Here's a clip of Alex Eubank's podcast with the influencer.
A lot of people, this is going to sound like an ad, but it's like, you take steroids and then in 6 months I have a dream physique. It was like, I didn't like how I took steroids. 6 months later I was like, you know what, I love how I look and I don't need to be so like, I don't need to spend all my time in the gym. I used to be so stressed out to miss 2 days in a row, and now I'm just like, I can go and enjoy my life.
This is going to sound like an ad, but it's like, you take steroids, and in 6 months, I had my dream physique. That statement very clearly exemplifies the problem with the fitness industry today. Results have to happen as quick and as easy as possible without considering the consequences. The fitness creator in that clip goes by Togi. He's gained millions of followers online for promoting steroids, drinking, gambling, and recreational drug use. He's even been hospitalized for overdosing on illegal drugs. But as soon as he was released, he went right back to normalizing the same life-threatening behaviors and continued to post the same content as he did before. This is the type of so-called fitness influencer who, instead of getting punished for his actions, gets praised and celebrated and earns millions of dollars doing so. Not to inspire or educate his viewers, but to entertain them by killing himself. When audiences start watching this type of content, it creates a cycle. The viewers watch more and more similar content, and the creators make more and more similar content to entertain the viewers, contributing to the never-ending echo chamber, as mentioned earlier. All three of these influencers also demonstrate how dangerous behaviors can become normalized, especially when influencers gain attention and success from them. It also shows how important it is to be cautious of who you let influence you, because as seen through Togi's story, it's not always easy to change once dangerous behaviors become a normal lifestyle. Today, fitness content has impacted teenagers so much that over 3% of all high schoolers in the US admit to taking PEDs, which may not seem like much at first, but that's approximately 500,000 teenagers in high school who are taking these drugs. And in certain groups, like male athletes, these numbers can range up to 5 and even 10% of high schoolers. Although it's impossible to know exactly how many are actually using them because of the secrecy surrounding PEDs. Aside from anabolic steroids, one of the most popular PEDs being used today is SARMs, which stands for Selective Androgen Receptor Modulators. They're lab-made chemical compounds, and they're only in the early stages of testing. They're illegal for consumption, but they've drawn a lot of attention from young people because they can build muscle in a similar way to steroids without technically being considered a steroid. SARMs target the androgen receptors specifically in the muscles and the bones, rather than the ones all throughout the body, which, in short, noticeably increases strength and muscle much faster than normal. But like all PEDs, SARMs come with a cost, and like steroids, SARMs cause permanent, serious side effects that can include psychosis, liver failure, infertility, and heart attacks. In addition, there may be other unknown dangerous side effects because they haven't been tested long enough to know the consequences of their long-term use. Even knowing the risks, there are still countless fitness influencers who use these banned substances. The point is that fitness content normalizes risky behaviors and leads to issues like these. And the kids who gamble with their future will have to face the consequences now or later in life. When teenagers are surrounded by comparison, dishonest influencers, and the normalization of PED use, fitness stops being about health and starts becoming about appearance no matter what. Like Rich Brianna's slogan, whatever it takes. If teenagers follow the advice and do whatever it takes to reach their unattainable fitness goals, they will very likely die trying. So, what can we do about it? Research shows that education plays a major role in prevention. So, prevention starts with awareness. Due to the risk of social media fitness content, a parent's role in properly addressing health and fitness is crucial. Parents are responsible for looking after their children and recognizing the influence that social media can have on them. Adolescents today are at risk of encountering more peer pressure than previous generations because of their access to social media. With still developing brains and bodies, teenagers should be accurately educated on fitness and the consequences of being involved in the gym atmosphere. If children are interested in the gym, their parents should educate them on the reality of the culture, even if it's disappointing. And if a parent's uninvolved in a child's life, schools and coaches can also help by teaching students how to recognize unrealistic physiques and misleading fitness content online. Recent studies have estimated that a shocking 85% of young people claim to not have a parent or coach to talk about the dangers of using PEDs. The education about the harm of using them may reduce the chances that children will use them later in life. Teaching them to acknowledge that the rewards do not outweigh the benefits could be key to protecting them from abusing their bodies. One study compared educating high school varsity football students in two separate ways. In order to find out if a risk-only education would be more beneficial than an education on the positive and negatives of steroids, they had one group educated only on the negative side effects and another group educated on the positive and negative side effects. And they found that the group that had the balanced education was significantly more receptive in acknowledging the side effects of using PEDs, while the ones who were only educated on the negatives had little to no change of opinions before and after the study. This is why it's important to remember to have honest conversations with people who may be interested in using PEDs. Don't just try to scare them, be honest and give them a well-rounded education, and let them know the reality of what they're getting into. Yes, you might get big and strong quick, but is it worth risking not having kids and dying before 50? Even after all this, you may still be wondering, wait, can fitness content be motivating? Supporters of the online fitness space may argue that fitness content has motivated teenagers to live healthier lifestyles. With immediate access to free workout programs, nutritional advice, and inspirational success stories, the online fitness community can introduce fitness to young people who may have never stepped into a gym otherwise. For many teenagers, fitness influencers can be seen as helpful as they promote discipline and give them a sense of community. Many would argue that fitness has the ability to motivate people and change lives by developing confidence, consistency, and healthy habits that can improve physical and mental health. And that's true. I want to make it clear that fitness is not the problem. I argue that while fitness has the potential to be a positive influence that promotes healthy habits, the current hidden agendas that often come with it undermine that potential. The issue is the detrimental environment in which fitness is being presented. When education is overshadowed by extreme physiques, marketing, and comparison, the damage caused can outweigh the benefits. When engagement, views, and profit are based on appearance and popularity, extreme behaviors and body transformations are often rewarded more than well-rounded educational content. Instead of encouraging teenagers to pursue a balanced well-being, much of the content being consumed emphasizes quick solutions and social approval. While fitness content can be motivating, it becomes harmful when it's driven by comparison, unrealistic standards, and hidden drug use. Therefore, despite its motivational aspects, the risks to adolescent mental and physical health are still too significant for the industry to be considered a net positive influence. The negative patterns caused by the online gym community have shown that a major change needs to take place in order to protect the health and well-being of young people. In order to redefine the purpose of having a fitness community, fitness culture needs to shift its focus to be more health-centered, prioritize longevity over aesthetics, and focus on personal improvements rather than seeking attention and validation. Today's youth could be tomorrow's influencers. To turn fitness culture into a positive influence, the fitness industry must redirect its efforts. Fitness influencers need to prioritize honesty and transparency over profit. There's going to be a real change in the industry. Without a cultural shift towards honesty and health-centered fitness, the next generation may continue to inherit a distorted and dangerous meaning of what it means to be fit. So, I leave you with this. Fitness should not just be defined by appearance, but by long-term health, discipline, and well-being. Thank you.
Josh, you mentioned that the importance of parents in education, and I was just curious, did you examine or think about what the role of peers are in that process and how they can influence what their friends are doing? We're pretty sure that oftentimes young adults are not too ready to accept the opinions of their parents or the direction of their parents, but yet will listen more to peers. Have you thought that?
Yes, I actually agree. You know, like the phrase, you are showing your friends, will show your future. You are who your surroundings are. And as like Alex Eubank, he was totally, he was surrounded by people who agreed with him and didn't believe in taking steroids, but he collaborated with Togi because he was shooting up in popularity, and he just wanted to get views basically. And he ended up convincing him to start gambling and start taking steroids, which he ended up stopping gambling, but he did not stop steroids. But he talks about that it's always been a struggle for him, that he always wanted to take it, but he never did. And I think that collaborating with the peer who was a negative influence just gave him that little push that he needed to cross the line. Ms. Thomas.
So you label it fitness culture, and you talk a lot about healthy, you want to be healthy. Where does it tip, and for a guy, where does it tip from I am doing healthy strength training so my muscles are good to, ooh, I have a six-pack, ooh, look at my biceps.
Yes.
Do you have to have sculpted biceps to be healthy?
Okay, so I think, honestly, I don't even, for me personally, I think it's really hard to just, because, who doesn't want to, look good, you know what I'm saying? But the thing is, whenever that becomes your only priority, you need to have a focus on health and care about your future and longevity, and because not only does it impact you, even if you don't care about yourself, you should care about other people, because what you do to yourself can impact other people, like taking steroids and dying at 47, which is the average death of a competitive bodybuilder. That can hurt many people around you. But I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting to look good, but when that becomes a priority and that's all you care about, that's kind of when the line is crossed. And no, you don't have to have sculpted biceps to be healthy. I think a healthy body fat percentage for a guy is around 15% body fat, and then females will be closer to 25% body fat.
So if we back up out of time and take the influencers out of it, there was still a gym culture in which you go to the gym and compare your biceps to the next guy's biceps that has nothing to do with health?
Absolutely, yeah. And even, I follow some influencers who are basically not like Togi, and there's just one guy who talks about stories like these, and he talks about when he was a kid. He's 50, he's not that old, but it was before he's not old, but it was before social media, and he basically, all he knew were just the people in his little town, and he was the best looking person in town, and he had no temptation to take steroids and get bigger until he became a competitive bodybuilder and was comparing himself with all the other people around him.
So you've done a good job showing us the downside of this. So what does the upside look like? What does healthiness look like?
Through fitness content?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that it can be great for educational content because there's a lot of people who just have no idea what they're doing, maybe when they're getting in the gym, or even just like me personally, I love looking up quick and easy, healthy, high protein, low calorie recipes. I think that can be great because there are a lot of people who just share diets and nutrition, or even I think a lot of things that have helped me want to stay consistent is seeing people's, I talked about, their motivational success stories. Like, that is motivating, but it depends on who you're watching, because there's a select few who are strictly about educational, well-rounded content, but a lot of them are just focused on getting money, so no matter what.
So I hear you saying the natural way is best. What do we mean by that? What is natural and what is not?
Okay, so natural is basically if you're not putting exogenous chemicals into your body, like steroids. So all steroids are like a derivative of testosterone. It's basically just an outside chemical. Your body makes it naturally, but when you put outside chemicals into your body, or like human growth hormone, it's just an unnatural substance that you put into your body so you can just look better. And there's testosterone replacement therapy, like I mentioned, for like older people who test levels have dropped, and that can be a healthy thing. But when you have healthy test levels, you have a range, and when you take more, it goes above that healthy range, and then that's when you have negative consequences.
The two questions, were you gonna tell us who was natural and who was not?
All right.
But my other question, and I don't know if you looked into this at all, where does AI come in with the influencers' pictures? Did you do any looking into how many are actually, modified?
Not how many, but I mean, I think it's pretty clear. Even when you look on Instagram, it's clear. Like, I don't know about like Photoshop exactly, but Alex Eubank, as I talked about earlier, I didn't bring this up, but he was exposed for like photoshopping things, and then he kind of just brushed it off. He was like, oh, it was only things that only I would notice because of my body dysmorphia. And I mean, he also struggles with body dysmorphia, which is also why I think he took steroids in the first place. But yeah, I mean, the thing is, if people only care about the money, why wouldn't you Photoshop yourself? Why wouldn't you edit yourself to make yourself look as good as possible? And about the people.
It turned out.
Oh. Okay. So I'll just tell you now, pretty much, you can never know 100% just by looking at someone. I mean, unless they're like ridiculous, like Ronnie Coleman or something. But there are a lot of people who are like on that border, like they could be natural, they could be dabbling in something. It's hard to tell because a lot of it has to do with genetics. But some of these people, I can give you my opinion, and the only way you can know for sure is by blood work. That only tells them, it tells you if they're natural at the time of taking the blood test. But that doesn't mean they couldn't have taken it like years ago. But let me show you. Let me give you my opinion. And I have reason to believe some of them are and aren't. But basically, so if someone, the idea is if you blood test someone and they're at their biggest and their strongest and it comes out natural, then they're probably natural. But if you blood test them and they don't pass, then obviously they're not. But if they do pass, but they maybe shrink down in size, like recently, and lost a lot of strength, it's likely they stopped using the steroids or whatever they were taking to pass the blood test. But, alright, here's my opinion. This guy, he was a stick. I mean, I think he could, like, he has the physique that could be natural, but he was like a stick as a teenager, and he was the strongest and his biggest as a teenager. And then he slowly, like, he downsized slightly and got a lot weaker. And he blamed it on just like an injury, but I honestly don't believe it. I think he was in high school when he blew up, like over 10 years ago. So I think he gave into some peer pressure, probably dabbled in something. The next one. Alex Eubank, okay, so he's the one who admitted to taking steroids. This was right before he hopped on. I think he was natural here. I don't think, he may have dabbled in something like when he was in high school. I've seen a couple things, but I'm not 100% sure. But I know after this, he was confirmed because he admitted to it. But here he claimed natural. This guy, this is crazy because he looks insane here. He's like maybe like 190 pounds, but he's a power lifter, and he was his biggest and his strongest, and he passed a drug test at the powerlifting meet. So, this is kind of a crazy picture. He looks a little worse in real life, but I think he actually could be natural. And he is the same as David Lade, the first person I showed you. He was a competitive bodybuilder, and he was his biggest and his strongest and his leanest in like 2017 or something. and slightly downsized, so I think he probably dabbled in something as well. But you can never really know for sure. Daniel?
Would you consider creatine feeding?
No, I take creatine. It's a natural substance. I think all it does, so it brings water to your muscles, it helps you recover faster, and it kind of makes you look a little fuller. Some people, creatine doesn't even make a difference because their creatine stores are already naturally filled. And it's in like red meat and stuff. It's a natural substance.
So as a dad of 2 teenage boys, do you have resources that I could use to help my sons realize what you've been telling us, other than just stealing your presentation?
Like some fitness, like influencers?
Yeah, like just a place I can point them to, they can get good information.
Yeah. I mean, so there's a few like famous ones like Jeff Nippard or Greg Doucette, or there's this one guy, he's not as famous, his name's Teen F. He's actually a Christian, and he basically, I don't know, I mean, they talk about this stuff all the time, and they try to, redirect the fitness industry, but those are probably not main three. Mr. March.
What advice would you give to a Christian young man who's attracted to gym culture and finds these influencers appealing? What kind of reminders or principles or advice might you give them?
I would say try to stay off social media as long as you can, especially if he's like young, like a teenager, especially. And I would say do your research, and I would recommend the channels that I just recommended to Mr. Heiser. And I don't know, like when you're working out, try not to just like look in the mirror and look at yourself all the time. Just work out. And I think just kind of always be conscious. So, Dr. Heichel.
So with the short lifespan of these bodybuilders, do you know if it's because of the PEDs, or are they not doing aerobic exercise, or both?
It was because of the PEDs. I mean, like the one guy, he had a heart and liver twice his average size just from taking. He was 18 and he died. So I mean, like that's like what 30 years of abusing your body. Yeah, it's definitely from the steroids. And like Mike Mincer, I personally think he was supposed to win the Mr. Olympia. When I said controversial Mr. Olympia, 4th place, is because Arnold supposedly talked to the judges and convinced them that he should have won. Apparently, like, he rigged it, which I honestly believe. But.
So I have 2 questions. Have you found in your research anything as far as athletes? So, there's been media about, baseball athletes that would take steroids so they could, get more home runs. What is the link? Is there a percentage? Is it mostly just bodybuilders, or is there a good amount of professional athletes who also abuse these?
There is a good amount of athletes. Like they're called performance-enhancing drugs. It's not just for bodybuilding; it's for performance. Like Mark McGuire, he took steroids and he was exposed for that. But like I said, even in high school, 5 to 10% of male athletes are using PEDs. That's of all high schoolers in the U.S. 5 to 10%. That's 1 in 10.
So I guess,
Yes.
so have you done any research on the bodybuilders who have lived longer and are now in poor health, and maybe do they say they regret it, or to them is it worth it? Because I've also heard a statistic about Olympic, athletes, that if there was a drug that could guarantee them, number one, but they would die in 5 years, would they do it? The majority said yes. So is that the same mindset as maybe some of these ex-bodybuilders who are now in very poor health?
It actually goes both ways. One of the people I like watching, Greg Doucette, he's 50 now, maybe 51, and he was natural until he was in his 30s, and he used steroids for like 10, 15 years, and he got his pro card, and now he looks back, and he has to take testosterone replacement therapy for the rest of his life because he crashed his natural test levels. And he said he regrets it, even though it made him famous. He probably shortened his lifespan by a lot. But at the same time, like Arnold, he's, 80 maybe? And he says he doesn't regret it because at the time they were just experimenting and he didn't know the side effects of them. But he actually, I think in like around 2000, he got rushed to the hospital after a heart attack or something. And he would have died if he wasn't rich and famous because he had immediate access to the best doctors. So like he could have died 26 years ago. So it goes both ways.
What other side effects do you besides the heart, does it have on individuals?
Besides the heart, well, hair loss. It can also cause like blood clots. It can cause and females are obviously and males too. It causes excessive body hair and lower head hair, and females it can make their voice like sound like this because it's turning them into like it's giving them the male chemicals. Testosterone is a male sex hormone. It's giving them the male chemicals and turning them in to make like it's like what trans people do to try to turn into a man. They're changing their like physical chemistry, and shortens your lifespan. Gives you it raises your blood pressure, so we call it roid rage. You can get mad pretty easily. Makes your muscles big. Human growth hormone can grow your bones as well. So
I've seen a documentary about the strongest man in the world. He doesn't look anything like these guys.
yeah.
He's slightly overweight, and he's actually a vegan. Is there any way to make somebody like that looked up to, as opposed to these guys?
Like, do people look up to those type of people?
Well, so I imagine he doesn't have near as many followers, right? But he's strong. Obviously, he's the strongest man in the world, and he attained this in a way that is totally opposite of these guys.
Yeah.
Right? But he doesn't look like these guys.
Right.
So how do we make that more desirable than what these guys are doing?
Okay, so honestly, the strongest men in the world, they're taking stuff. They're taking steroids, they're taking human growth hormone, they're taking all they can, like Eddie Hall, Brian Shaw, they're huge. They have an insane amount of muscle. But the reason the difference between these people and those people, like they're powerlifters and these are bodybuilders. Powerlifters are not worried about having abs and having veins and being shredded. The difference really is just that these people are more focused on their diet and they eat less. And powerlifters want to be as big and strong as possible. So they don't want to lose any size. So they're not worried about cutting or dieting down. And they still have millions of followers and they just have a different audience because people like bodybuilders want to look like these people, but maybe powerlifters are
He's not a powerlifter.
Oh, so what is he?
Well, he like picks up cars and stuff.
Yeah.
He gets like these. I guess he can be considered a powerlifter because he'll get these insane amount of weights in a bar,
Yeah.
and he'll just lift it a couple inches.
Yeah.
And it's like the most weight anybody's ever lifted.
Yeah.
You know.
I think I would consider that a powerlifter because I'm sure he trains like in the gym too. But I don't think he's any better than them. He's probably worse because he's way more overweight than them, so his health's probably even worse. That's what I agree.
So you talked about honesty over profit for social media influencers. Obviously, profit's a huge motivator. How do we encourage honesty when profit is such a huge motivator?
How do we encourage honesty when profit is such a huge motivator? Okay, so I think like people like Togi, like social media platforms, considering he's doing literally illegal activities on social media, I think that they should either ban his account or at least make social media like 18 plus or something. But I think social media, not only audiences, but also just the people behind the social media platforms can ban those type of videos and, I don't know, maybe advertise the good ones.
I'm gonna go ahead and cut us off so that we can have a little bit of time in between, but nice job.